Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to solve some practice questions for chapter 18. If you read the chapter, you understand that this chapter explains the basic concepts in international macroeconomics. So the chapter focuses on net exports, net capital outflow, and as well as exchange rates, nominal and real exchange rates. And finally, the chapter introduces you the purchasing power parity. So now let's solve some questions. Let's start with the first one. Payne Pharmaceutical produces medicines in the US. So Payne Pharmaceutical, as you see, this company is in the US. So this is a domestic company and it sells overseas. That means foreigners are buying. Therefore, it's produced domestically, foreigners are buying. It should be an export. So we have two answers here. One is export here, another one is export here. And now we need to find out how it affects the US net exports. Net exports is equal to exports minus imports. So imports doesn't change because we don't have a transaction that refers to imports. Exports are increasing. When this side of the equation increases, this side of the equation should increase as well. For that reason, it should be that increase US net exports. Therefore, the right answer is A. Now, let's look at the second question. A US citizen buys bonds issued by a construction equipment manufacturer in Poland. So, we know that US, here, US citizen, buys foreign assets. How do we know? Because it's from Poland, okay? And her expenditures are, first we need to identify what type of an investment it is. We have two types. One is foreign direct investment, and the second one is foreign portfolio investment. Here in this case, it's a portfolio investment because she's buying bonds. If she goes and operates a business, it's a direct investment. And now we know that it's foreign portfolio investment. We need to find out the impact on NCO. We need to write the NCO definition. NCO is domestic residents, okay, buying foreign assets, minus foreigners buying domestic assets. So we don't see any change in this part, because this lady is a domestic resident. Therefore, this part increases. If this part increases because of equality, NCO increases as well. So the correct answer should be foreign portfolio investment increases US net capital outflow. Number 3, a US firm sells diesel locomotives to a German railroad. Other things the same, this sale. So this is a US firm, right? A US firm now selling to a German, therefore it's an export. It's the exchange of goods. Exchange of assets, it's in the NCO part, exchange of goods are in the net exports part. It's an export. Okay, so what happens is that net exports are going to change. Why? Because exports are now higher. There is no change in imports. Okay. So net exports for US is going to increase. But it's also an import for Germany. For German net exports, this is German, okay, not US. Not the export increases, but imports are going to increase. Therefore, for German net exports, it's going to go down because you're subtracting a bigger, higher number from exports. So if it's an increase of net exports for US, it should be a decrease of net exports for Germany. Therefore, let's find the right answer. Increases US net exports, decreases German net exports is the correct one. Number 4, Paul, a Canadian citizen, purchases oranges grown in Florida. Purchase grown in Florida, it's an import for her, for Canada. And it's an export for us. So for US, it's an export. For Canada, it's an import. This purchase is an example of US export and a Canadian import. Number 7, I'm sorry, the questions are not in order. Number 7, if US residents purchase 600 billion worth of foreign assets and foreigners purchase 300 billion worth of US assets. Okay, so we need to write again the NCO. NCO is domestic buying foreign asset minus foreigners buying domestic asset. So US residents purchasing, that means we are talking about here, $600 billion worth of foreign asset, and foreigners purchase 300 billion, which is 300 billion is here, worth of assets. So that means the net capital outflow is going to be positive 300 billion. That means we are buying more foreign assets than foreigners buying domestic asset. So if that is the case, if NCO is positive, okay, that means the capital is flowing out of the US, okay, because US people are buying more foreign assets, okay. For that reason, it's going to be US net capital outflow is $300 billion and capital is flowing out of the country. Number 8, Susan, a US citizen, builds and operates a canal in France, okay. So this action is an example of investment, right? Because you are operating a canal. And it's also a direct investment. It's not a portfolio investment. Therefore, the right answer is A, investment for Susan and US foreign direct investment. Let's look at the next question. If the exchange rate is 5 Egyptian pounds per US dollar, that means for $1, you are getting 5 Egyptian pounds. And for $25, you need to pay 5 times 25, 125 Egyptian pounds. Next question. A country has a trade deficit. So let's understand what does that mean. That means NX is less than 0. And we know that there is an equanic identity, NX is equal to NCO, right? If this is less than 0, this should be less than 0 too, okay? So if that is the case, it has a negative net exports and it cannot have positive, therefore this is not correct. It has negative net exports and negative capital outflow. Number 13, suppose that real interest rates in the US rise relative to interest rates in other countries. So US interest rates are higher, okay? This increase would make foreigners more willing to purchase US bonds, right? It's not less willing, so either A or B. And if that is the case, the second term in the NCO is going to rise. Okay, here the second term, foreigners buying more domestic assets, is going to rise. Therefore, net capital outflow would fall because now you're subtracting a bigger number from the first term. Number 14, a US grocery chain buys bananas from Honduras and pays for them with US dollars. So what does that mean? That means, first of all, we know that buying banana from Honduras is an import. Okay, now we know that from NX, exports minus imports, right? And it's an import. If imports are increasing, NX should go down. If NX should go down, NCO should go down too because of this equality. Remember, regardless of what the question says, I know that this is an accounting equality. It's an accounting identity. Therefore, if there is a decrease in NX, NCO should fall as well. So we need to find the right answer. The purchase of bananas decreases US net exports and the payment with dollars increases net capital outflow. This is not correct. The purchase of bananas decreases US net exports and the payment with dollar decreases US net capital outflow. So these are all the questions I have for today. Let me know if you have any questions.